Okay, Tootie, go ahead.
Good morning. I will now call to order the August 19, 2021 Clackamas County Board of Commissioners business meeting. Gary Schmidt, please call the roll.
Yes, Chair Smith. First, our staff support today, Shannon Bays, Clerk to the Board, Stephen Madcore, County Counsel. On Zoom, Commissioner Schrader.
Here.
In the hearing room, Commissioner Savas.
Here.
Commissioner Fisher.
Here.
Commissioner Shull.
Here.
Chair Smith.
Here. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So there's a delay there. Did I hear that?
Yes.
Okay.
Thousands of miles.
So does that mean that if I speak to Martha, it is likewise delayed
Yes.
by a few seconds?
Yes.
Got it. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. We are holding this meeting in person and virtually. If you've joined us via Zoom for this meeting and are interested in providing public comment, we will prompt you how to do that when the time is right. As always, the public is welcome to sign up and to testify. Registration for public comment will close at 5 minutes past 10. I would like to remind all participants, including staff, all elected officials, and members of the public, that Robert's Rules of Orders will be enforced in this business meeting. I'm going to take a quick moment and note a few changes in our procedures. Many people came to speak to us last week. Our emergency exits and access points were blocked, and this room exceeded its permitted capacity. We have to ensure that everyone present has equitable access to their electeds, and those who work in and visit the building remain safe. We have brought folks here to help us. You should have seen security in our lobby and outside our hearing room. They are here to assist us with facilitating large groups of people. We welcome your opinions and look forward to your polite participation. Tuesday, the board decided to resume COVID updates with our public health director, Philip Mason Joyner. However, we will not be having that update today since we just gave that direction to him 1 day ago. However, you can find regularly updated weekly updates on our website. Shannon, would you please pull up that page, please, so people can take a look at the link?
I will. Sure.
At our first meeting after the recess, Philip will update us on that. Oh, there we go. I have that here. I can see this now. Very nice. Okay. So anybody wants to know how to do that, it's clackamas.us/coronavirus/vaccine-facts. So if you just, get those first two words in, /coronavirus, it will probably take you to the page where you need to get your information. Thank you, Shannon. I will now recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as a housing authority. Gary.
Chair Smith, first, Shannon, would you please make sure that Ann Leenstra, Housing Commissioner, is in the Zoom room?
She is.
She is now here. Excellent. So this is the Housing Authority Consent Agenda. Shannon, would you please read the Housing Authority Consent Agenda by title only?
Approval of an intergovernmental agreement between the Housing Authority of Clackamas County and Community Development Division for Homeless Management Information System Staffing, $143,750 funded through HUD CARES Act funds, Emergency Solutions Grant, and non-CARES Act Emergency Solutions Grant funds. No county general funds are involved. I'm so sorry, I have to pause for a moment. The webinar is not showing what I'm reading.
That's okay. Just take your time. It's fine.
Chair, in the interim, I just want to point out that Commissioner Leenstra is in the audience, on the virtual audience.
Yes.
Okay, but she's not in as a panelist.
Paul, we're having some trouble with our internet this morning, as was previously noted. Gary?
She is in the room. I just saw it here. So we'll make sure she's in the room again. One moment, please. Thank you for your patience, Commissioners. Our technology is having some issues with our drivers, so the internet is not as accessible. So we're doing this kind of the old-fashioned way, so we just need a little bit of your patience, please.
That's fine.
Thank you.
We can be patient.
Commissioner Leenstra is now in the room as a panelist.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, moving on. Approval of Amendment Number 2 to IGA between Health, Housing, and Human Services and Housing Authority of Clackamas County to allow for an increase from part-time to full-time case manager serving Housing Authority of Clackamas County public housing residents. Amendment adds $110,000, $55,000 per year for 2 years, for a total contract of $1,267,344.91, funded through county general funds through policy level proposal, Affordable Housing Services Fund. Approval of an IGA between Housing Authority of Clackamas County and Clackamas County Community Corrections for funding supportive mental health housing for corrections participants, $343,064, funded through supportive housing services. No county general funds are involved. Approval to execute Amendment Number 1 to the contract between Housing Authority of Clackamas County and Cantor Taylor PC for legal services for the financing of low-income housing tax credit and real estate transactions. Total increase is $150,000 and the term extended to April 2025, funded through the low-income housing tax credit. No county general funds are involved. That is the end of that consent agenda.
Thank you, Shannon. I'll accept the motion.
I move we approve the Housing Authority consent agenda.
Second.
Commissioner Scholl has moved for approval, and Commissioner Savas has seconded the motion. Commissioner Fisher, you're in the queue.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to remove item number 3 regarding the IGA to discuss separately.
So technically, you already have a motion on the table, so Commissioner Fisher, your motion should be to amend the motion to
Thank
make
you.
that change.
I move that we amend the motion to remove number 3 to discuss separately.
I think any commissioner can remove anything. You don't need a motion to do that. I'll accept that. We will consider that separately. So what we're going to do is we're going to vote on the 2 remaining items on the consent agenda. Shannon, does that make sense to you?
It does.
Okay, let's go ahead and call the poll on the 2 items only.
Commissioner Leenstra.
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher.
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye, motion passes 6-0. Commissioner Fisher, you're up.
Thank you, Chair Smith. I need to abstain on number 3, which is the IGA between the Housing Authority of Clackamas County and Clackamas County Community Corrections, which utilizes supportive housing services funds. And the reason for my abstention, given my involvement with the development of the measure, the local implementation plan, and my involvement with the Oversight Committee, it is my understanding that the local implementation plan does not allow us to supplant supportive housing services dollars with money that has previously been used. I understand that Jill Smith addressed us in the last issues session, but I'm not satisfied that we are moving forward in accordance with how we are required to do so. And because I have not been privy to the Administrator's Task Force information, I do not have adequate information to accept that this is in accordance with what we are required to do. So I will be abstaining on this today.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. We will vote on that motion separately. Gary, do you have any comments to make on this statement that Commissioner Fisher just made?
Yes, we did discuss this in detail Tuesday at your work sessions, commissioners, and I know staff is not here to discuss it, but I will just say with great respect, Commissioner Fisher, staff disagrees that this is not in violation of the LIP. It is not supplanting the funds that we agreed to. This was a one-time only funding that ended, and this is an allowable use of these supportive housing services dollars. So I'm not questioning anything you said, Commissioner. I'm just saying staff has a different perspective. So thank you.
Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, I just want to correct another piece of misinformation in that statement that Commissioner Fisher just made, and that is that anything of substance Commissioner Fisher's been made privy to So there's nothing that's being withheld. I don't want anyone to infer that anything's being withheld. I think that there may be a need to a revisit as to the weekly updates because we're developing something and there's nothing of substance to report sometimes on these Tuesdays. And if that's somehow being perceived as withholding something, that's unfortunate. I trust that our liaisons, and for example, Commissioner Fisher's role in the supportive housing services with working with Metro and with the implementation of that at these Metro committees on our behalf, I'm not privy to every word or every discussion or every piece or any documents, frankly, since then. But that does not result in my distrust or abstention in supporting those efforts. So I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to hear from Jill Smith? She is
Is she
available.
online?
Yes.
Jill Smith, would you, you're up.
Okay, just one quick second, please, as we transfer her in. Jill Smith is the Executive Director of the Housing Authority of Clackamas County. All right, there she is. Jill, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. I just want to say that I was also a part of the early discussions with Here Together, along with Commissioner Fisher, and I realize there's a lot of discussion on the topic of displacement going on right now, and there is also, it's in negotiation as part of the IGA because there is a lot of misunderstanding around what this means exactly. But I can reassure you that early discussions and discussions right now, the way that I understand displacement is you take local funds, local housing funds that were used to support a program, and you intentionally remove them from a program, use them for other purposes, and supplant them with supportive housing funding. And the funds used previously to support this program that we're considering supporting, this corrections program, a tiny slice of them 1 year came from general funds. But what we're doing, supporting this ongoing work, was mostly funded for years by state corrections dollars, by behavioral health dollars, and by health center dollars. We are not supplanting previously supported housing programs by making this step. I've discussed this with the staff at Metro. They've told me that they did not see this as supplanting. So I feel quite confident moving forward and that we are doing so as appropriately.
Thank you, Jill Smith. Commissioner Savas, you're up.
Yeah, Jill, I just want to thank you and your staff. I know that you have been constantly peppered with responding to concerns and confusion about the misunderstandings of this, and I just applaud you for your patience. I applaud you for your dedication to this, and I just want to really appreciate that under these circumstances you have maintained your professionalism and been just done a great job. But I just want to say hats off to Jill Smith for everything you've done and your staff and just thank you.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Fisher, you're up.
Thank you, Chair Smith, and I echo that, Commissioner Savas, for Jill Smith. Really appreciate Jill's professionalism, and I don't at all argue or question anything that Jill Smith has done. The challenge with this overall program is that the local implementation plan calls for doing such things as outreach and navigation and case management, and because what the allocation that this board has provided allows us to continue our existing services so that people are not removed from housing, we are not able to move forward with the local implementation plan as passed by this board, the Metro Oversight Committee, and Metro, and that is my overall concern. So, because I'm a person of principle, and on principle I stand like a rock, I must abstain from any allocation until this board decides to find a way, which I understand there's a possibility that Metro would advance the dollars to have us implement this plan to help people right now that are chronically homeless in our community. Because of that, I will abstain today. Thank you, Jill. I appreciate your information.
Shannon, I'm going to have you read this particular item once again, so there is no confusion on what we're doing for this. Thank you.
Excellent. Approval of an IGA between Housing Authority of Clackamas County and Clackamas County, oh wait, I'm on the wrong one, aren't I? Approval, sorry, to amendment number 2 to IGA between Health, Housing, and Human Services and Housing Authority of Clackamas County to allow.
No, it's number 3.
Is
Item
it?
3, yes.
Okay, I apologize.
No worries.
Approval of an IGA between Housing Authority of Clackamas County and Clackamas County Community Corrections for funding supportive mental health housing for corrections participants, $343,064, funded through supportive housing services. No county general funds are involved.
I will entertain a motion on this item.
I move to approve that consent agenda item.
Seconded.
Commissioner Savas has moved for approval. Commissioner Scholl has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Shannon, please call the poll.
Commissioner Leenstra.
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher.
Abstain.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0-1. Thank you. I will now adjourn as a Housing Authority Board and reconvene as a Board of County Commissioners. Gary, what's up?
Yes, and thank you to Housing Commissioner Leenstra. You may go about your day. Next is a board discussion item, a resolution in the matter of recognizing the economic impacts of historical weather events on Clackamas County's agricultural sector. Chair Smith, would you like to introduce this item?
Yes, I want to thank our board for unanimously supporting an agricultural economic resolution because of the destruction of our crops in Clackamas County, not only the heat event that happened in just the end of June that really destroyed much of our Christmas tree crop, most all of the berry crops, a lot of our nursery crops. But in February of this year, we had an ice storm that took out many, many hundreds of acres of hazelnuts and other tree crops as well. This is designed to get the attention of not only our state officials, which they have been very good to work with, but our national congressional delegation and the National Agriculture Authority as well. And Secretary Vladeck has come out and toured California and Oregon. And what we're trying to do is there's legislation right now in the United States Congress at the Agriculture Committee to get them to list the specialty crops in Oregon as qualifying for FEMA dollars. Congress very much understands what corn, wheat, and soy is. They don't understand what hazelnuts and blueberries, grass seed, and a whole host of other specialty crops that we produce here in Oregon. And so it's a matter of education. Our national lobby is going to be working on it along with the Public and Government Affairs office here at the county, and I'm very happy to move forward with this. As a leader in the state of Oregon, hoping that maybe other counties will copy this and join us in our effort to get relief for our much-needed farmers here in Oregon. Is there any other comments from commissioners on this? I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve this resolution.
Second.
Commissioner Shaw has moved for approval. Commissioner Fisher has seconded the motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Shannon, please call the poll.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher.
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl.
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Gary, what's up next?
Next is the consent agenda. Shannon, would you please read the consent agenda by title only?
So sorry. Approval of a grant agreement number 18869, amendment number 1 with Ride Connection, Inc. to provide funding for specialized service rides provided by members of the Clackamas County Transportation Consortium. Total agreement amount is $483,913, funded through State of Oregon, Oregon Department of Transportation, Special Transportation Formula Funds. No county general funds are involved. Approval of agreement number 18950 with Ride Connection, Inc. to provide funding for rides provided by the Social Services Division Transportation Reaching People Unit. Agreement amount is $4,182, funded through Federal Transit Administration grant. No county general funds are involved. Approval of grant agreement number 18870, amendment number 1 with Ride Connection, Inc. to provide funding for specialized service rides provided by members of the Clackamas County Transportation Consortium. Total agreement amount is $509,864, funded through the State of Oregon ODOT Special Transportation Formula Funds. No county general funds are involved. Approval of agreement number 18929 with Ride Connection, Inc. to provide funding for rides provided by volunteer drivers under the Vets Drive Vets program. Total agreement amount is $5,047, funded through the Federal Transit Administration grant. No county general funds are involved. Approval of agreement number 18949 with Ride Connection, Inc. to provide funding for rides provided by volunteer drivers under the Vets Drive Vets program. Total agreement amount is $206,670, funded through TriMet General Funds and Federal Transit Administration grant ODOT funds. No county general funds are involved. Approval of agreement number 18919 with Ride Connection, Inc. to provide funding for vehicle maintenance of Ride Connection-owned vehicles operated by social services, transportation reaching people, and community center-based transportation. Total agreement amount is $51,800, funded through agreements with State of Oregon, Elderly and Disabled Transportation Fund, and Federal Transportation 5310 grant funds. No county general funds are involved. Approval of grant agreements number 18871, amendment number 1 with Ride Connection, Inc. to provide funding for rides provided by social services, transportation reaching people. This amendment increases the total value to $222,284, funded through State of Oregon ODOT Special Transportation Formula Funds. No county general funds are involved. Approval of grant agreements number 18872, amendment number 1 with Ride Connection, Inc. to provide funding for rides provided by social services, transportation reaching people. This amendment increases the total value to $62,907, funded through State of Oregon ODOT Special Transportation Formula Funds. No county general funds are involved. Approval of grant agreements number 18873, amendment number 1 with Ride Connection, Inc. to provide funding for rides provided by social services, transportation reaching people. This amendment increases the total value to $63,595, funded through State of Oregon ODOT Special Transportation Funds. No county general funds are involved. Approval of intergovernmental subrecipient agreement with City of Lake Oswego Adult Community Center to provide social services for Clackamas County residents. Maximum agreement value is $124,877, funded through the Older American Act and Ride Connection pass-through funds. No county general funds are involved. Approval of subrecipient agreement emergency shelter grant with Clackamas Women's Services. The Emergency Solutions Grant funds $41,254 as a grant funded by U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, ESG, 2021 to 2022 funds. No county general funds are involved. Transportation and Development. Approval of a contract with NTA Contracting, Inc. for the 232nd Drive roadway at milepost 0.3 project. Value of the contract is $326,376.36. Road fund match of $33,723.94. No county general funds are involved. Finance. Approval of contract with Cintas Corporation Number 2 for countywide uniform services for a total of $448,200, funded through individual departments, some of which are funded through the general fund. FEMA 4599DR-OR infrastructure contract for the 2021 winter ice storm. No dollar figure at this time. No county general funds are involved. Elected officials. Request by the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office to approve Amendment Number 1 to the intergovernmental agreement with North Clackamas County School District. NCSD will fund the cost for one deputy at $144,124 and a one-time training at $89,247.73. No county general funds are involved. Approval of Amendment Number 3 with DePaul Industries to provide security services for Justice Court, Juvenile, and Circuit Court. This amendment adds $588,500.16 for a total contract of $1,649,176.76 through the Sheriff's Office and Justice Court General Fund. Request by the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with Clackamas Community College for 2021 to 2022 GED classes at the Clackamas County Jail. Total agreement cost is $29,650, funded through county general funds budgeted within the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office jail operations and the jail levy budgets. Juvenile, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with Clackamas Education Service District to provide education and vocational opportunities for at-risk youth. ESD will fund $43,000 and the balance of $48,615 will be covered by county general funds. Approval to apply for a grant between the State of Oregon Criminal Justice Commission Justice Reinvestment and Clackamas County Community Corrections to continue the pretrial program. Tourism and Cultural Affairs. Approval of a contract to receive state transient lodging tax funds from Travel Oregon to implement Mount Hood Gorge Regional Tourism Plan for fiscal year 21-22. This is a revenue contract for $194,210 funded through Travel Oregon's Regional Cooperative Tourism Program. No county general funds involved. Approval of a contract to receive Regional Recovery and Stability Funds from Travel Oregon for Mount Hood Gorge Region Program. This is a funding agreement for $107,429 in revenue funded through Travel Oregon. No county general funds are involved. Community Corrections. Approval of an intergovernmental agreement between Clackamas County Community Corrections and Housing Authority of Clackamas County for supportive mental health housing, $343,064 funded through the Supportive Housing Services. No county general funds are involved. Approval to apply for a grant between the State of Oregon Criminal Justice Commission, Justice Reinvestment, and Clackamas County Community Corrections to continue the pretrial program. Total grant value is $2,441,218 through the Criminal Justice Commission. No county general funds are involved. I stop.
And that's the end of the consent agenda.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Shannon. Does any commissioner wish to remove any item off the consent agenda? Commissioner Fisher, you're in the queue.
Yes, Chair Smith, thank you very much. I'd like to remove item G1.
And what is that? Would you like to read it?
That is the companion to the Housing Authority item, approval of intergovernmental agreement between Clackamas County Corrections and Housing Authority for the supportive housing services dollars.
Shannon, we'll remove that item and vote on it separately.
Yes.
Any other commissioner wish to remove any other item? Any further discussion? Hearing none, Shannon, please call the poll.
Have a motion?
I move for approval
Yes,
of the
motion would be
consent
nice.
agenda.
Good job.
Second.
The motion has been made by Commissioner Scholl and seconded by Commissioner Fisher. Any further discussion? Please call the poll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader?
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl?
Aye.
Commissioner Savas?
Aye.
Chair Smith?
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Just to note again that there's a delay with Commissioner Schrader's feed from clear over, way over in England. Thank you very much. Shannon, please read the item that has been pulled so this board can vote on that one separately.
Excellent. Approval of an intergovernmental agreement between Clackamas County Community Corrections and Housing Authority of Clackamas County for supportive mental health housing, $343,064 funded through Supportive Housing Services. No county general funds are involved.
Any further discussion on this? Does any commissioner wish to pull this item? I'll entertain a motion.
Chair, I move we approve agenda item G1.
Seconded.
The motion has been made by Commissioner Savas to approve item G1 and seconded by Commissioner Scholl. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Shannon, please call the poll.
Commissioner Schrader?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Abstain.
Commissioner Scholl?
Aye.
Commissioner Savas?
Aye.
Chair Smith?
Aye, motion passes 401. I will now recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the North Clackamas Park and Recreation District. Gary, what's up next?
This is the consent agenda for the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District. Shannon, will you please read the consent agenda by title only?
Approval of a resolution approving the renaming of the Milwaukee Center to the Milwaukee Community Center. Total cost will be $30,000, funded through NCPRD Milwaukee Center Building Maintenance Budget. No county general funds are involved.
Thank you. Does any commissioner wish to pull the item off this consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move for approval of the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District consent agenda.
Second.
Commissioner Scholl has made the motion. Commissioner Savas has approved. Any further discussion? Shannon, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner Scholl?
Aye.
Commissioner Savas?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader?
Aye.
Chair Smith?
Aye. You abstained?
I said aye.
Okay. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. I will now adjourn as the North Clackamas Parks and Recreation District and convene as the Development Agency. Gary, what's up?
Next is the consent agenda for the Development Agency. Shannon, would you please read the consent agenda by title only?
Approval of amendment number 3 to the contract with Harper Hoof Peterson Regelis, Inc. for Phase 2 of the Clackamas Regional Center Mobility Improvement Project.
Does any commissioner wish to remove any item? May I have a motion?
Move approval of the Development Agency consent agenda.
Second.
Commissioner Savas has made the motion, and Commissioner Fisher has seconded. Any further discussion? Shannon, please call the poll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Savas?
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl?
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader?
Aye.
Chair Smith?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Board. I will now adjourn as the Development Agency and convene as Service District Number 5. Gary, what's up?
Next is the consent agenda for the Service District Number 5, Street Lighting. Shannon, would you please read the consent agenda by title only?
Board resolution certifying the 2021 to 2022 assessment roll for Clackamas County Service District Number 5 street lighting. Assessment reflects a 5% reduction in all rate categories as discussed with the Budget Committee. No general funds are involved.
Does any commissioner wish to remove any item? I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve the Service District Number 5 street lighting consent agenda item.
Seconded.
The motion has been made by Commissioner Fisher and seconded by Commissioner Scholl. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Shannon, please call the poll.
Commissioner Savas?
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader?
Aye.
Commissioner Scholl?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Chair Smith?
Aye, motion passes 5-0. I will now adjourn as a Service District Number 5 and convene as a Water Environment Services. Gary, what's up?
Next is the consent agenda for Water Environment Services. Shannon, would you please read the consent agenda by title only?
Approval of a contract with Wolf Water Resources, Inc. for the watershed protection, benthic macroinvertebrate, and geomorphological monitoring. Contract value is $159,530 through West Surface Water Operating Fund, and Lake Oswego contributing $21,050 through a subsequent IGA. No county general funds are involved. Approval of intergovernmental agreement between Water Environment Services and the City of Oregon City for the transfer of ownership of 2 sanitary sewer manholes and 2 sanitary sewer pipe segments. There is no financial impact. Approval of an intergovernmental agreement between Water Environment Services and the Clackamas River Water Providers for Clackamas River watershed activities. The agreement is for $50,000 total, funded through the West Surface Water Operating Fund. No general funds are involved.
Thank you, Shannon. Does any commissioner wish to remove any item off this particular consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move for approval of the Water Environment Services consent agenda.
Second.
Commissioner Scholl has moved for approval and has been seconded by Commissioner Fisher. Any further discussion? Shannon, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner Scholl,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. I will now adjourn as the Water Environment Services and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners. Up next is public communication. This portion of the agenda will be limited to items of county business which are properly the object of board consideration and should be nonpartisan in nature, as the BCC is a nonpartisan governing body under Oregon Revised Statutes and County Code. Testimony is limited to 3 minutes. Comment shall be respectful and courteous to all. As a reminder, you can email submissions for public comment at bcc@clackamas.us, and these will be accepted as part of the public record. However, we will not be reading them at the business meeting due to time constraints. I will now open the meeting for public testimony. As always, I take public testimony of the people who arrive in person. That has been a board policy since I came on my very first meeting in January. It will remain a board policy regardless of the nature of the meeting, that people who bother to show up in person will be taken first. Up first is Tanya Streibel. Please come forward, state your name, area of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
May I pull my mask down to speak?
I think you have to leave it up,
Do I
but
have
if
to
you
leave it?
pull this really
Can't
close,
keep up with the rules.
yes, thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Tanya Streifel. I'm from Eagle Creek, Oregon. This is my son, Caleb. I am also an Oregon Moms Union representative of Estacada School District, and I'm here to just speak on behalf of being a mom in these very changing times, and also to ask for a partnership with our commissioners. You guys, I know, don't have the authority to change public school mandates, but we elected you to speak for us and with us. I don't think it's a coincidence that you are elected at this time in history. I believe we're all put in this place for a reason, and I believe there is a lot going on in our world that we must unite together, because united we stand and divided we fall. It takes a village to raise kids, right? So we need more elected village people to join with us. I do not co-parent with Kate Brown. I stated that last week, and it was very nice to be here last week with everyone. It felt very encouraging, and I hope people continue to come and speak and just know what's going on in our county. I just don't understand, and I guess I'm not a political person. Oh, I already ran out of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, we forgot to start the clock.
Forgot to
we
start the
did?
clock. Yeah, go
Would you
ahead.
mind
yeah.
wrapping up, please?
Okay,
All
so
right.
you probably have 2 minutes, I'm guessing, or so. Yeah, just continue with what you
Okay.
need to say.
I'm not a political person. I don't know lots about politics, so I'm learning as I'm going. But what we have going on right now is people in politics that are governing our state and our children, and they have things in their favor that allow us as people that oppose what they are mandating. We don't have a voice. And so I don't know what our next step is. And I guess that's why I spoke with you earlier this morning, Tootie, and I'm really hoping that we can convene some time together as a group and really discuss what our next steps are. Because as parents, we feel voiceless. We feel like our opinions don't matter. And we elected you for this time, and I really do believe there is a purpose. There's a really great quote that I love. It says, "We all place ourselves in danger to one degree or another when we stand up, but we place our children and grandchildren in even greater danger when we don't." So I truly believe that we can work together, even if we don't agree on everything. We all want the same thing, right? At the end of the day, we want our kids to be safe. We want to have good health, and we want to have our freedoms. So did you want to say anything? No. Maybe next week. Maybe next week I'll get him to speak. So,
Well,
But-
thank you very much, Tanya.
Thank you.
the policy is if he wants to testify, he can fill out his own card and speak for himself. Besides, it's good practice
It
for
is good
adulthood, right?
practice, yes.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you coming forward. Up next is Yvonne Lazarus. Come forward, state your name, area of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
I'm Yvonne Lazarus, and I live in Milwaukee. I'm here today to say I was so excited on the night of the 12th. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can't even hear myself. On the night of the 12th, to see the people come forward to talk to you. And what I want to say to all of those people, you have to come again. Now, as far as the mandates go and what Tootie has promised, she cannot go against the governor. There's nothing she can do there. But what can be done is that all of you can get together and get Tootie and support her and go before the governor. Go up there and tell her, look, this is what we want. You know, well, I can't go into that. But the other thing I want to talk about is I want to talk to Chris Waller and to the commissioners about what has happened with Mark. I know you've heard me before on this, but this time I want to say, look at what's going on governmental. I actually, when I first met Mark, the first day I was here, and he thanked me for supporting him, and I was alone, except I think Les was here, and I told him he was Paul Revere. And he looked at me and I said, what you're saying, I get completely. He says, you see the big picture. And it was the big picture. It's exactly what's going on. All of you need to really work with him because he is the people's commissioner. He truly, truly is. He has a lot of wisdom, a lot. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Up next is Nancy Hall. Nancy Hall, please come forward, state your area of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Oops, sorry about that.
Before I begin, I'd like to say that I looked at the rules, and it looks like if you're coming forward and giving a speech, you're allowed to take off your masks. And I can quote that for you if you would like.
Gary, what's your policy on that? Do we know anything, Stephen?
It's number 4H,
Or H, where is that online?
and that's in the Oregon Health Authority,
I believe that's correct.
Stephen, I need your help. I don't,
which I can. But it says, if I'll read it. But if you're giving a public speech, delivering a speech to an audience, you don't have to have it.
We have a mask requirement in this building.
So you're going against this.
We're going in addition to that.
All right? Nancy Hall, Happy Valley. It was fantastic to see so many patriots at last week's meeting. Sorry you couldn't attend, Commissioner Fisher. I hope the governor was watching. The shaming and blaming of unvaccinated people is ratcheting up. The government refuses to acknowledge that millions of the unvaccinated have already had COVID and have natural immunity. The evidence is growing that natural immunity is superior to the COVID vaccine. Those with natural immunity do not need to be vaccinated. The other elephant in the room that isn't mentioned is the chaos at the U.S. southern border. The Biden administration is refusing to enforce the law and is importing COVID by allowing thousands of infected illegals to storm our border. This policy defies logic. COVID-positive illegals are being bused and flown throughout the U.S. Do you think that letting COVID-positive illegals run amok through the country might be a problem? The city of McAllen, Texas had 7,000 COVID-positive illegals dumped into their town. Where are all the other infected illegals going? How many has Oregon received? How many has Clackamas County received? Will the people who are so distraught over unvaccinated Americans please explain the logic of sanctioning COVID-positive illegals to infiltrate our country while at the same time forcing unconstitutional mandates on American citizens? Please put a call into Joe Biden and get back to us with an answer. American citizens have protections against unlawful intrusions through our Bill of Rights. Government and businesses are forcing employees against their will to be vaccinated. These entities that are forcing vaccinations may find themselves liable if any employees have a bad reaction or die after being vaccinated. Mask mandates are ludicrous. Masks do not work. The virus easily penetrates the cloth and paper mask. Even Dr. Fauci conceded this fact. It's an individual's right to wear a mask or not. Schools are forcing masks on children, which the science and data doesn't support. Schools may be liable for harm done to kids forced to mask up. Parents are the ones to decide if their children should wear masks. Vaccine passports contradict HIPAA medical privacy laws. What else is more personal?
Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. Up next, Stephen Enos, please come forward, state your name, area of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Stephen Enos, and I've been a resident of Oregon City for 50 years, and I watched the entire 2.5-hour film a couple days ago, and I was very moved, and I want to thank all of you for really maintaining a cool head under pressure, because that was a very emotionally charged meeting, and I want to commend and applaud all of you. I'm not going to expand on anything that we haven't already heard. So there's maybe one or two things that I might want to expand on. And somebody did bring up the Nuremberg Code and the Geneva Convention. And you know, right now, I think the lawmakers right now that have the power, that make the decisions, are going to ignore that. But I think maybe 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 years down the road, they may be held accountable for that. So I think maybe that should be a discussion. And I'm hoping that you guys have good interface with our legislators and let them know that, you know, you may be safe now, but you might not be down the road. So that is my big beef about the mandatory vaccines. You know, I like to think that I'm a big, strong man, but right now I'm afraid. I'm afraid of our society. And I think if you take a person's ability to go to the store and get food and feed themselves, there's going to be uprisings and damage that is going to be so much greater than what the virus has created. So I'm afraid. I'm afraid for me. I'm afraid for the people behind me. I'm afraid for you guys. And I think this is a time now that we need to really push for a non-vaccinated society. So it really is their choice. One other thing that I've kind of found disappointing, I do believe the state has now disabled the doctors from prescribing ivermectin and some other antiviral medicines. I think it was about 2 weeks ago. I know 2 or 3 people that have taken it and have been over it in 3 days, and they're fine and dandy. So I think there really needs to be a push to get that back on the table and let the doctors prescribe that, because this is one of our reasons for the lockdown was, hey, we need to lock everybody down because we don't want our hospitals overstormed, over capacity. I'm afraid for this winter when it comes, when our vitamin D3 levels drop naturally. I see a perfect storm coming. I see a lot of people getting sick, and I think that is really a quick answer to keep people out of the hospitals, keep them healthy. And I want to thank you all, and I want to thank you all for fighting for us, and because we need you, and we need you now more than ever for society. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Up next, Les Poole, please come forward, state your name, area of residence, and you have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Commissioners. I sure appreciate the sentiment that the gentleman just expressed. And much like in the past, I'm Les Poole. I'm here regularly. And like in the past, I'm seeing dismissive arrogance by government. And that's not a blanket accusation of every elected official. That's not directed specifically at the county commission or any specific commissioner. And I think back, and over the last 18 months, really over the last 7 years, what troubles me is the lack of public awareness and involvement. People find out what's going on after the fact. Through COVID, our illustrious governor started having what she termed press availabilities instead of press conferences. So she was going to come out of her locked room every so often and give us a little canned presentation and then disappear again. Can anyone tell me, have we gotten any kind of real public forum in Salem? No, the place has been locked up. When was the last time the governor said anything that wasn't rehearsed, contrived, or released to the press? Anybody seen her? Of course not. For 15 years, when I showed up in Salem, the governor's office door was open. You couldn't just walk in there, but at least you knew the door was open. We have a reclusive, very self-serving machine in control of Salem that the folks in this room, do not trust. So if you are an agent for that, if you were elected to promote that, or you feel that that is something we shouldn't question, then you're not being objective, you're being partisan. I have 1 minute left, and I want to reflect on something, and that is, I encourage you folks to read the opinion piece that Commissioner Fisher submitted recently, dismissing the small group of people and that's showing up, and of course, accusing me of attacking her with my free speech rights. Commissioner Fisher, all I have done is ask very reasonable questions about your conduct. That's all I've done, and you've refused to answer. You haven't been silenced by us, you've silenced yourself. But prior to that, it was almost nonstop. And so the silencing of Commissioner Fisher was done by Commissioner Fisher because she refuses to answer simple questions that might get her in some real serious legal trouble.
Thank you very much.
Maybe we'll get an answer someday.
Thank you very much. I see no other blue cards of people in the room who wish to testify. We will move to our online people. Shannon, how many do we have in the queue?
We have 13 in the queue today.
Okay, who's up first?
First up is Amanda Fisk. Amanda, please unmute yourself, state your name and residence. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Amanda Fisk, and I live in Oak Grove. First, I have a question for all of the commissioners. When you took office, did you swear an oath to protect and defend the Constitution? If so, then sorry, I can't read. If so, then the erosion of our constitutional rights will become your responsibility. This erosion has gone far enough, as was evident at last week's meeting. We, the people, demand your courage, commissioners. It firmly states in our Constitution that any law that is repugnant to the Constitution is null and void. So we, the people, reject your statement at the end of last week's meeting, Chair Smith. Using, what does it say? Hiding behind legalese is no longer acceptable to we the people. It takes courage to go against the popular narrative, but that is exactly what I am demanding on behalf of we the people. 3 counties now have used the Restore Oregon ordinance as a template to create their own version. I am asking the commissioners, again, on behalf of we the people of Clackamas County, to do the same. Have the courage to take your oath seriously. I am also asking that you restore Commissioner Scholl's duties to him as you remove them for his defense of our constitutional rights. As the great General Flynn has told us many times recently, local action has national impact. Thank you very much for your time, and God bless America.
Next up is Debbie Otenberg. Please unmute yourself, state your name and residence. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, Commissioners, Chair Smith. My name is Debbie Otenberg, and I live in Oregon City. Chair Smith, on July 28th, you posted to your Facebook page, responding to emergencies takes a community effort. I've also heard you express concern over wildfires, noticed your interest in creating a disaster preparedness committee, and heard you mention taking FEMA courses to further your understanding of disasters. These are items we agree on. But I wonder in your FEMA coursework whether you came across the term all hazards approach. The all hazards approach means that communities consider all types of potential and actual emergencies and disasters and their impact. Wildfires are without question a hazard we should be concerned with in our community. Many people lost their homes and businesses during the 2020 fires, and we saw 11 deaths statewide. But Chair Smith, we've lost 246 people to COVID so far in Clackamas County, and you seem resistant to any mitigation efforts to prevent further deaths and severe illnesses. Do you feel the same way about burn bans during red flag warnings as you do about mask mandates? You didn't have an issue banning fireworks over the 4th of July. During this Tuesday's policy session, the commissioners discussed the various dangers posed by the large crowd of people gathered in the room and hallways last Thursday. Some commissioners expressed concern about the anger in the crowd, to which you said, I don't like it. I don't like what happened Thursday night. Yet on your public Tootie Smith for Oregon Facebook page, you posted multiple posts, articles, and videos of the event and thanked the crowd for coming. When one commenter asked, how can we support you? You replied, in large part, just like they did last night. Replying to a video posted to your page of a crowd breaching the doors, you posted, wow, incredible to see so many stand up and speak out. I don't know what part you played in organizing that crowd, Chair Smith. You claim none. But I do know that you applauded the event wildly on your Facebook page, fanning the flames while putting on your adult face during the policy session. You maintain that you believe COVID mitigation should be a local issue. You've constantly criticized the governor's COVID response, yet cases in our county more than tripled under your watch. If we judge job performance by outcome, and I do, your performance leaves much to be desired. Thank you.
Up next.
Up next is Tammy Stevens. Tammy, please unmute yourself, state your name and residence. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tammy Stevens. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, wonderful, thank you. Sorry, printing, oops. Tammy Stevens, Chair of the Hamlet of Beaver Creek here with our quarterly community communications. Thank you again for providing us 5 minutes to give our report and answer any questions. A few housekeeping items to report. We continue to meet via Zoom and plan to continue until our citizens are vaccinated against COVID. We held 3 board meetings and 3 community meetings, one of which was a town hall where our revised bylaws were approved to include the Karis area in the Hamlet of Beaver Creek. We hosted 3 excellent guest speakers, Fire Marshal Sean Olson, Clackamas County Fire District Number 1, discussing COVID, 2020 wildfires, ice storm, backyard burning, and 2021 fire prevention. Also, Martine Koblenz, Clackamas County Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, and also Aaron Heckelman, Director of a Safe Place Family Justice Center. Also, Night Shift Watch Commander Marcus Mendoza pops in quarterly to discuss Sheriff Office activities. We completed and will post to our website our board's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Statement. Our CPO received, discussed, and provided input to the Planning Department on 5 land use applications. Board members participated in several wildfire and emergency preparedness Zooms with the fire district and county. The leaders meeting on June 9th focused on emergency preparedness where input was provided. On August 12th, we participated in Public and Government Affairs Hamlet Quarterly Catch-Up and Reporting. We'd also like to mention the numerous advisory boards and commissions we continue to participate in. ODOT Region 1 Act, CPO Summit, C800 Citizen Budget Oversight Committee, Community Fund, Road Fund Committee, C4, Clackamas River Water, and Planning Commission. Beaver Creek Road became very dangerous near Oregon City High School as a result of development across the road. After working with the developer, county, and city, the road was shut down in order to complete the construction before school starts. Our treasurer has been working consistently with Brian Nava and Kelly Lude to improve reporting, streamline banking processes, and develop a Hamlet Treasurer Handbook. In the coming quarter, our focuses will include supporting our citizens through education and transportation to vaccinate against COVID, working with our county to plan for future transportation needs, and our elections will be held in October, which will be, with the help of the county, to be held virtually. So for the over 10,000 Beaver Creek residents, we thank you for your time and support. Any questions?
Tammy, have you finished?
I am done, thank you.
Okay, thank you. For the folks in the audience, Tammy Stevens is the president of our Beaver Creek CPO, and when she made the comment about 5 minutes, usually we give those folks 5 minutes. Hey, Tammy, thank you for the report. Give me a heads up next time. I didn't know that is what you were going to talk about. Commissioner Savas is in the queue.
Yeah, I just want to say, Tammy, thank you and the members of your Hamlet and all the other members of the CPOs and Hamlets for your volunteering and your oversight and all the things that you listed. It's appreciated. I know in the last year and a half with COVID and all the other crises we've dealt with, it's kind of overshadowed all the good work that people have done. But just a shout out to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Up next.
Up next is Christine Kennedy. Christine, please unmute yourself, state your name and residence. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Christine Kennedy. Thank you for the time, Chair Smith, Administrator Schmidt, and Commissioners. I've lived in Lake Oswego, Clackamas County for 6 years. I'm a retired nurse administrator, and today I would just like to be thankful for the fact that we have Clackamas County Public Health Authority. And Tootie, thank you for referring us to the proper place on the website for Clackamas County. I'm also just going to take a minute, and I probably won't have enough time to read the whole thing, but it's from one of my physician partners at Vanderbilt University. He's the medical director of the medical ICU, and I just want to share his words. He's the father of 2 children, 15 and 17. He trained for pandemic, specifically Ebola and H1N1. But for him, the sheer volume of young COVID patients in the intensive care unit right now is taking a huge toll on him and his staff. And I know these people personally. First, there are a group of people, he says, that are adamantly against getting vaccinated. It doesn't matter what we say or do. Second, a lot of people are confused and tell me that they don't have somebody they trust to answer their questions about the vaccine. Third, some of this is driven by our colleagues. In the last 2 weeks, 8 pregnant women with COVID-19 were admitted to our ICU. At least 6 said that their OB told them not to get the vaccine while pregnant. That myth is still out there. What's going on in the ICU? Todd says, I want people to know that our unvaccinated, infected COVID-19 patients are the sickest patients we take care of. Their condition can change on a dime. We think they're getting better, and suddenly we turn around and they're near death or they die in seconds. What's hard for our staff is that many of these patients have been with us for several weeks. We get to know them so that when this happens, it hurts us even more because we've gotten to know them. What we need to do, while it may take time, we have to talk to vaccine hesitant people one by one and ask them what their questions are and then provide them with the answers they need. I think the next 6 months are going to be all about getting people who are still movable on this, get them to be comfortable that the vaccine is safe, that we didn't cut corners. Yes, it was developed faster than anything we've ever done before. That's because it had to be. So I say to you, if you have to comfort a crying mother, as I did, who has a pregnant daughter in ICU who's trying to deliver a baby, I just want to help you understand why I'm so passionate about this issue. Thank you. Take care.
Up next.
Up next is Bill Weir. Bill, please unmute yourself, state your name and residence. You have 3 minutes.
Good morning, Chair Smith and Commissioners. Bill Weir, Damascus. I want to review the events that led up to the censure of Commissioner Scholl in January and the subsequent stripping of his liaison positions in June. When the news of Mr. Scholl's post became general knowledge on the morning of January 11th, the county became a busy place. Mr. Scholl sent out an apology via email to all county personnel on January 11th. On January 13, 22 members of the county's exec team in writing believed he should resign. On the cover of this memo, the county administrator wrote, "I need your help to set the tone." On January 13th, Chair Smith asked for him to resign. The Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Council asked for his immediate resignation. Various groups outside by then had called for his resignation. What did all of these communications to the commission have in common? All of them did not mention the punishment of censure. How did it happen that on January 14th, the county attorney just happened to have a censure resolution in his back pocket for the meeting ready to be voted on? The censure was not a line item on the published agenda. At the beginning of the meeting, he electronically sent it to the commissioners, who went on to other business, and then at the end of the meeting voted on it. Now, it's my understanding that the public rules of public meetings is that if the commission is meeting to determine action or vote on a final position on a motion or proposal or resolution, it has to be posted at least 24 hours beforehand for the public interest. This was not done, nor was it an agenda item printed right up to the meeting. Beyond that, if more than 2 of the commissioners jointly plotted behind the scenes, it's a violation of public meeting laws. And I'd like Mr. Madcore perhaps could clarify that. It seems to me that something as serious as disparaging a commissioner's reputation and censoring and demanding his resignation would warrant public notification. And did Mr. Scholl even know this was going to happen? If not, it was an ambush. If he did resign under pressure, what you would have had was a political coup overturning the will of the electorate. Later on June 1st, Chair Smith castigated Mr. Scholl for not properly vetting a resolution he brought up for discussion. She said his resolution went through without vetting by County Administrator Hirsch. She went on to claim it as an example that she'd been working for months on a resolution, had 16 pairs of eyes on it. She said, you don't throw gasoline on a fire. With that, Scholl lost his committee assignments. Each session operated under different rules, but the same result, to damage Mr. Scholl. This commission needs to
Thank you,
undo the censor and return
Thank
him.
you. Thank you, Will. There were some pretty serious accusations Mr. Madcore made on us in violation of public meeting law. Can you address those?
If Mr. Ware has reason to believe that, he can certainly file the proper recourse in court if he wants to challenge this body's compliance with public meetings law. I fully believe that we're remain in compliance with public meetings law and public records law consistently.
Thank you very much. Shannon, who's up next?
Connie Lee is up next. Connie, please unmute yourself, state your name and residence. You have 3 minutes.
Connie Lee, Lake Oswego. I was horrified to watch last week's Board of County Commissioners meeting. The meeting was packed with people who were not wearing masks at a time when it was well known that the Delta variant was and still is a very real threat to public health. To me, Chairman Smith seemed excited and happy to see so many maskless people, while all I could see was a super spreader event waiting to happen. And as we know, the Delta variant spreads 2 or 3 times faster than the original COVID virus. At this meeting, one after another person testified using misinformation about COVID, yet their information was not corrected by the officials present. Shouldn't a public health professional be at a meeting where it is known that many anti-mask and anti-vaccine individuals would be testifying? Please consider having a member of the Clackamas Public Health Department at all BCC meetings in the future to do just that, so that misinformation is not disseminated inadvertently by this body. I was so disappointed and saddened for the people of Clackamas County after last week's meeting. Let's hope and pray that this meeting doesn't turn out to be a super spreader event, as it very well may be, because the Delta variant is so highly contagious and kills unvaccinated people at a vastly higher rate. We want to see a Board of Commissioners that is concerned about the health of its residents. And COVID is a life and death issue. It should not be a political football. It is my opinion that Chair Smith used this issue for grandstanding at the expense of people's lives. I certainly hope for her sake that no deaths come out of it. Thank you for listening.
Up next.
Up next is Chris Waller. Chris, please unmute yourself, state your name and residence. You have 3 minutes.
Chris Waller, Jennings Lodge. My plan was to address several of the comments Chair Smith made at the August 12th board meeting, but Chair Smith, you're off the hook today. Yesterday, I learned that Mark Scholl actively worked to cancel a county vaccination clinic in Molalla. And the implication from posts from Mayor Scott Kaiser celebrating the closure is that he did it in his official role as commissioner. Kaiser wrote, "I just received a message from our Molalla River School Board and Commissioner Mark Scholl. The vaccine event scheduled for August 23rd at Molalla High School is canceled." According to state data as of June 25th, Molalla had the smallest percentage of people vaccinated against COVID-19 of any sizable zip code in the Portland metro area. Only about 38% of the 97038 zip code's population of 15,000 were vaccinated, lower than the vaccination rate of states being ravaged by the Delta variant like Louisiana and Arkansas. And Molalla predictably has had extremely high rates of COVID. According to Oregon Health Authority, 1 out of every 15 people in Molalla has had COVID, one of the highest rates in our entire county. So the clinic, which was scheduled to run every Tuesday offering free vaccines to anyone 12 and up, is desperately needed. That a sitting commissioner would actively work to stop vaccinations is reprehensible and incomprehensible. What was the excuse given for stopping the clinic? Some residents objected to the $50 gift cards being given out, as they are in every vaccine clinic in the county, as a bribe. And some objected to adolescents 14 and older being able to get vaccinated without parental permission, as is the law in the entire state of Oregon. But this clinic wasn't being held to secretly vaccinate the children of Molalla. It was being held for all the citizens of Molalla and the surrounding communities. No doubt we will hear excuses from Commissioner Scholl, like the people of the community didn't want this clinic and there are other clinics. So do we really want to set the precedent that we allow anti-vaccine activists, a noisy but tiny minority, to dictate the availability of our health care? How many people will now not get vaccinated because you made it more difficult for them? How many more clinics will you work to cancel because they are following state law? And how does that make our county look that sitting commissioners again and again attack and oppose their own public health department? The true tragedy here is that teenagers who have the sense to do the right thing and get vaccinated, who are responsible and care about their communities and themselves, have to fear retribution from their parents who may be deluded by anti-vaccination propaganda. The stories of kids who have had to hide their vaccination from their parents are as sad and tragic as the stories of kids who've had to hide their gayness. I know that personally, I'm on the side of those kids. Thank you.
Up next.
Up next is Allison Bernaldez. Allison, please unmute yourself, state your name and residence. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Allison Bernaldez. I'm a Clackamas County resident in Tualatin. I'm a mom of 3 kids under the age of 5. I'm the aunt of 2 Clackamas County kids, ages 5 and almost 8, who will be attending in-person public school in our county. I am terrified for the health and well-being of the children I am responsible for keeping safe and for whom I love. On August 10th, 2021, OHSU released a statement on their COVID-19 forecast. The opening paragraph of that statement reads, "The latest data on the Delta variant of COVID-19 and its predicted impact on Oregon is dire. By Labor Day, OHSU predicts that the state will be short 400 to 500 needed staffed hospital beds. This means that some Oregonians will not be able to get hospital care for COVID-19 or any other condition. Clackamas County has seen a 139% increase in COVID-19 related hospitalizations in the last 14 days, according to the New York Times coronavirus map. The OHA Oregon COVID-19 vaccine efforts metric data dashboard shows out of all counties in Oregon, Clackamas County has the largest population of unvaccinated residents in several age groups, including 60 to 69-year-olds, 50 to 59-year-olds, and 30 to 39-year-olds. Rather than posting, encouraging, and spreading misinformation about mask mandates, including retracted studies and preprint, not peer-reviewed studies, Chair Smith, our county would be much better positioned from a public health standpoint if energy was spent focusing on vaccinating more of our community members and promoting, rather than opposing, additional evidence-based risk mitigation strategies like mask usage, distancing, and ventilation during times of high community spread. Commissioner Scholl, from my understanding, you participated in getting the vaccine event scheduled for August 23rd at Molalla High School canceled. This action is deplorable and is only exacerbating this public health crisis. It is devastating, terrifying, and infuriating to be in this situation 17 months into this pandemic. It is even more so because we have a free vaccine available, which has demonstrated real life effectiveness in keeping people out of the hospital and from dying. But because unvaccinated people are getting infected and filling up our hospitals, we have to add additional measures like masking, distancing, and ventilation to protect our community and healthcare workers. I don't want to wear masks either. I wish our community and country had listened to science and not made wearing masks political. For the sake of our county, state, country, and the world, we need leaders who will listen to consensus among the science and medical experts across various fields, including the CDC and American Academy of Pediatrics, who agree layered risk mitigation strategies are vital to slow the spread of COVID-19.
Thank you. Gary, there's been a couple of wrong accusations made. I'd like you to correct those, please.
Yes, and we've also I've received some emails as well. So Commissioner Shull had nothing to do about the cancellation of the vaccine clinic in Molalla. That was a decision made by the county's public health director and the superintendent of the Molalla School District. They independently made that decision and plan to reschedule it at another location within the Molalla area very, very soon. But Commissioner Shull was not involved. I've asked him directly, and I've asked our staff. There was no involvement by Commissioner Shull. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Commissioner Shull.
Yes, Chair Smith. Yesterday morning, members of the Molalla community and the Molalla mayor contacted me about some concerns about vaccination process. That was staffed by me to our people here in the building. They staffed it with health services, and I received a very professional response back by email that identified the laws under which they're doing these vaccinations. That was made available from me to the mayor and to the people from Molalla who asked the questions. And like Gary said, the decision on that to change the dates was done by the folks in Molalla and not by myself. So there's been some, I don't know where the misinformation got out, but we have a very transparent policy in this county. When somebody asks me a question, it's staffed and they get an answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Shannon.
Jennifer Duncan is next. Jennifer, please unmute yourself, state your name and residence. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Duncan, Lake Oswego, Oregon, retired teacher. The rise in COVID cases in Oregon is by any measure a crisis. And in a crisis, leadership matters. Your Board of Commissioners is uniquely placed to help Oregonians navigate our way safely through it. I hope you're up to the challenge. So I want to thank those board members who have stepped up to the plate as leaders. I thank those board members who recognized that the August 12th meeting with a crowded room of unmasked participants was ill-conceived and badly executed. Thank you to those who have pledged to do better in the future. I thank those who understand that the loudest voices aren't usually the ones with the facts, and that bullying others just shows the weakness of the argument. I thank those who extend the hand of friendship, trying to bridge the gap with offers of a lunch or a happy hour get-together in an attempt to forge a bond, even when those invitations are rudely rebuffed. I thank those who understand that if we don't get this thing handled, our children will be the ones to suffer with illness and school closures once again. I thank those on the board who support a statement of endorsement for Governor Brown's mask mandate, which was enacted to keep us safe and healthy. Masking is an easy and effective way to reduce transmission of the virus, and we all need all the help we can get. I thank those who use their position striving to share the truth and not as a way to share false information about vaccines and whatever, and foment anger in those who look to them for guidance. Lastly, I thank those members who understand that this board is tasked with the health and safety of our whole community. These members encourage the public to be safe, wear masks, and get vaccinated to protect us all. I hope with your help that we can all get to a place where people understand that these masks are a safety tool, like a hard hat at a construction site, and that vaccines are a gift. Thank you for your time. I appreciate your listening, and have a good day.
Thank you. Up next.
Up next is Sarah Lambert. Sarah, please unmute yourself, state your name and residence. You have 3 minutes.
Hello. Thank you, commissioners, for hearing me today. My name is Sarah Lambert, and I live in Oregon City. I own a foster home for adults with developmental disabilities. I am here today to advocate for vaccine choice. On August 6th, Kate Brown announced she will be requiring all IDD adult foster home owners and employees to be vaccinated or submit a weekly testing by September 30th of this year. For the last 21 years, I have been advocating for people to have a choice in their lives. I have worked fervently to make sure that all of my residents have the best quality of life possible, and that includes who I hire to help care for them. Now, for the first time, I am having to advocate for my employees and myself. How can I require my employees to get a vaccine in order to keep their jobs? Governor Brown is forcing me to force my employees to choose between feeding their families or injecting themselves with an experimental vaccine. I don't know if you're aware, but we are facing a major staffing crisis in the healthcare industry, and that includes adult foster care homes. It has become almost impossible to hire and retain caregivers. I'd like to ask Governor Brown and all of you commissioners a few questions. Who will be paying for the testing that is now required should my employees not want to be vaccinated? The cost is roughly $150 per person per test. Add that up. Who will cover the cost of additional staffing when I'm forced to pull employees off their regular duties to wait in line to be tested? Who will cover the medical costs should they choose to take the vaccine and have an adverse reaction to it? And moreover, who will protect me when an employee sues me for damages because I have now forced them to get an experimental vaccine? And this is probably the most important question that I have today. Why on earth is a vaccine being mandated that has not been FDA approved and has not gone through the proper clinical trials? Like I said at the beginning of my statement, I have dedicated the last 21 years of my life to being a voice for people who do not have one. And now I'm here today fighting for my employees, for myself, and ultimately still fighting for my residents. Because we're the people that they see every day. We're the ones they rely on for their quality of life. We're the ones who they laugh and cry with. And in some cases, we are all that they have. When you take away their support people, you take away their quality of life. I implore you all to fight with us for medical choice. Wherever there is risk, there should always be choice. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who's up next?
Up next is Tim Smith. Tim, please unmute yourself, state your name and residence. You have 3 minutes.
Yeah, hi. This is Tim Smith from Wilsonville. Boy, there's so much said here. I don't know where to begin. I'm going to go back to last week's meeting where I'm going to start with Chair Smith. I will applaud Chair Smith for doing everything she said. She stood not with the minority, like Chris Waller says, because Chris Waller doesn't know how to add. There were 600 or more people, plus those who are online, that supported everything Mr. Scholl has resonated with since day one. The only issue I have, Ms. Chair Smith, with you, and I implore you in respect, unlike Ms. Fisher, to you, I have just the opposite views. You have identified with us who believe in pro-choice. We don't believe in forcing anything on anybody, but we don't want the opposing views forcing their views on us. We want freedom of choice. So what I'm asking you, Chair Smith, I would like you to address it. Will you unlock the shackles that have been put on Mr. Scholl? He's not our liaison. There's been a recall on him. I'm asking you, Chair Smith, would you please address this again? Because he is our voice in this body. And without him, you've silenced us. Mr. Savas, I listened to some of your meetings yesterday, and I was shocked to hear how you, Chair Smith, were attacked very similarly as Mr. Scholl was. Ms. Fisher basically said, this was my interpretation. Chair Smith, I heard, you have the push, but I'll tell you, I have the shove. Because I have Mr. Savas in my back pocket, and I have Ms. Schrader as two peas in a pod, and we outnumber you. So if we can't work this out amiably, we'll use the power of numbers to divide and conquer. So you're already divided. You divided Mr. Scholl, and you got just a taste of it, Chair Smith, of what this, Ms. Fisher is doing. So I support you in how you defended yourself, and I feel for you, but I feel even more for Mr. Shaw. I have a lot to say, but I'm going to end it on this. The way you're stuck in between, Chair Smith, in the worst situation at all, because you are not supporting Mr. Shaw, who's supporting us and me, but you're being attacked by the other side. Savas, he plays the gray area. He rides a fence like a cowboy rides a saddle. And I mean that he doesn't take either side, so he's, Teflon proof. But you are in the middle, Chair Smith, so I feel for you. I hope you take your stance. I hope you're not robbed of your powers. And I would implore you to.
Thank you very much. I am going to make a comment. We've heard a lot of stuff regarding Commissioner Scholl. Commissioner Scholl knows exactly what he needs to do to get his liaison duties back, and that's have a conversation. I've also implored my other county commissioners. I said, county commissioners, I've gone to Commissioner Scholl. I would like you all to engage in private conversations with each other. I cannot do that alone. I do not have the power to either take away or reinstate anybody. It must be a board decision. There must be a conversation going back between board members. I have worked on this for months and months and months behind the scenes to reinstate Commissioner Scholl. He needs to go to his commissioners and sit down in a chair and have a conversation. That is all that I've asked. Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, my comment, Chair, as I kind of mentioned this before, not necessarily on this particular topic, but it's certainly included. When it comes to boardmanship, it comes to the rules that we've agreed upon, we've voted to agree upon. They're laminated here. I believe the best way to have that discussion is with a retreat. We are way behind, and I think we all have an obligation to work out all these people don't know of all the differences, but we have a number of issues that come up, and this is one of them. This is not all of them. This is one of them, but that's what teams do. That's what teamwork is all about, and I would, again, renew my request for a retreat.
Well, we're going to be addressing that a little bit later coming up in Commissioner Communications, and I hope everybody pays attention to that. Shannon, who else is up?
Thank you. That is the end of the list of callers.
Okay, we now move into Gary. What's up next?
Next is County Administrator Update. That's me. I have a few good news items to share and a few quick announcements. First, I want to recognize our staff who operate the Canby Ferry. We received a note from VJ who wrote, I want to give kudos to the Canby Ferry. I have used it about 8 times this summer. In some cases, I took a detour to the ferry because I-5 was too slow, and even though the ferry route was longer, it was still faster and infinitely more enjoyable. I wanted to give a special thanks to the ferryman, Rory Quinn. I found him to be a lovely person who had a kind word for everyone who came aboard. He's a gem. Thank you for keeping the ferry running. It is a treasure and well worth the $5 fee. I take it for double that amount. So thank you, VJ, for the note, and thank you to Rory, a member of our staff, for his great work. Next, 3 members of our Social Services Division of Health, Housing, and Human Services have been recognized by the Oregon Oregon Office of Developmental Disability Services for their outstanding work. Brooke Gelfland, Stacy Mullins, and Sandy Olson from our Social Services Division were all recognized. Brooke was given the Equity Champion Award for her support of people, families, colleagues, and providers experiencing marginalization. Stacy received the Outstanding Supervisor Award for the way she communicates and supports her team. And Sandy was recognized for the All-Around Outstanding Service Award for how she goes above and beyond for people with high needs and how she has coordinated evacuations when they were necessary. So thank you and congratulations to Brooke, Stacy, and Sandy for your outstanding support and modeling our core values of Clackamas County in your work. Next, a few quick updates. September is Suicide Prevention Month. Clackamas County wants to highlight the importance of connection. When we connect with others, we feel seen, less isolated, and more likely to reach out for help. We want to remind everyone in our community that connection fosters hope. On September 7th, here at the Red Soils campus, we will have a kickoff for Suicide Prevention Month for those of you that are still here. And then we'll have another ceremony later in the fall when everyone's back from the recess. But just want to let people know, if anyone needs to talk or needs help, please reach out. We have a crisis prevention line here at the county. We have support for people in the community and our employees and YouTube board. Anyone who needs it, please reach out and someone will be there to help you. Finally, board, as you know, you will be on recess from August 20th through September 6th. Your next board business meeting will be Thursday, September 9th at 6 p.m. It is an evening business meeting. Per the county code, I am authorized to sign contracts on your behalf during the recess. And of course, I've reminded staff I will only do that if absolutely necessary. Everything else needs to wait until your return. That is my update. Thank you, Chair Smith.
Thank you, Gary. We will now move on to Commissioner Communication. Up first is Commissioner Schrader.
Well, thank you, Commissioners. I'm calling you from Bristol, England. And I've listened to a lot of testimony tonight, but I thought it might be interesting for me to talk a little bit about my personal experience. In order to get to England, I've had 2 COVID tests. Both were negative. I'm on my 3rd COVID test because England requires me on day 2 of being in the country to get another test and also to fill out a form, a locator form, so they know where I'm staying and who I'm with, which is with my family here in England. I haven't seen my 2 grandchildren since 2019, so it's been quite a pleasure for me. And I don't want to be controversial tonight. I'm just going to give my opinion, and that is that I believe in the vaccination. I'm wearing a mask. I think that masking helps. It isn't perfect. It does stop the spray. I also believe, from what I've read, that messenger RNA vaccines are the vaccines of the future and may very well be vaccines, if you can imagine this, for cancer in the end. I am following every protocol that I needed to follow to get this far. I flew through Iceland. I had to have a test in order to get into Iceland. I also had to have my 2nd test within 72 hours of arriving in the United Kingdom. And once again, being here for 3 days, I have to have a 3rd test to make sure that I continue to be negative. I know that people want to have a choice. I'm not disputing the fact that you have a choice as to whether or not you get vaccinated or not, whether or not you wear a mask or not. What I'm trying to tell you, in my personal opinion, in my own experiences, and coming from a family of nurses where, unlike many other folks, being nurses, I not only got shots, I got them from my parents, and that included vaccines because they were registered nurses and they could do that. So I'm going to urge folks to get vaccinated. I'm going to urge you to wear a mask, not because somebody's telling you to. I don't really, mandates, you can do a mandate, but quite frankly, it really is, in the end, a personal choice. But I am going to urge you to make the personal choice to wear a mask. They're not perfect. They prevent spray. It isn't the be-all of end-all of stopping this virus. And I also will tell everyone, quite frankly, from my perspective, since I have an I actually do have a disease that is an immunological problem, and that should the time come, I will also accept a 3rd booster shot for this. That is my choice. And I'm urging everybody to please look at the science. Please don't look at this as people telling you what to do. as much as, from my perspective, it's my duty as a citizen of the United States and being a global citizen to make sure that I'm doing everything possible to stop the spread of the virus. So that's my message. And I'm saying it respectfully because I respect all of the commissioners I work with. I'm all right with a difference of opinion. And I was going to add that my son-in-law and I have had some very interesting conversations about masking and vaccines because he's a little bit more on the other side of the aisle on that one. So doesn't matter. He's family. I'm family. I will express my opinion. And I suggest people please, please follow the medical protocols of the folks that know the science, are medical professionals, and are really looking out for the public good. So hope that doesn't get me into too much trouble, but I'm awaiting the result of my third COVID test. I hope I'm negative. I think I will be. And in order to get back into the United States, I will have to take 2 more COVID tests. One to fly through Iceland and the other one to get back into the United States of America. And I'm going to do it because I see it as my duty as a responsible citizen in order to not just protect my health, but to protect the health of others. So respectfully, love all you guys, miss you. We'll work with you as soon as I get back. And hope that you all stay safe and you stay well. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Schrader. Up next is Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chair Smith. I'm going to make my comments real brief as I want to hear what everyone else has to say. And I have a noon engagement that I have to depart for. But I just have to say that I got to just do a shout out for our developmental disabilities staff that were recognized. My heart felt real warm hearing Brooke Gelfand was my daughter's service coordinator for many, many, many years before I became a county commissioner and had to get exiled to Multnomah County to provide my daughter's services. That's what they do with county commissioners, so we don't have any conflicts. But Brooke Gelfand was a lifeline for so many years with my daughter and her services and needing the support and really just approaching every moment with such compassion and care. And I tell you, our staff at Clackamas County that are working directly with folks that are struggling have hearts as pure as gold, and I just applaud and thank them so much. So that's all.
Anything else? Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. Up next, Commissioner Savas.
Yep. Thank you, Chair. One thing that came up Thursday night and came up again today is really about people's constitutional rights. And do we hold that and respect that and hold that close? I believe we do. But I don't have the exact oath of office that we took, that I last took, and a number of my colleagues have taken, the exact wording, but I'm going to get it. Frankly, I'm probably going to post it right here in front. But it goes something like this. I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of my office, Clackamas County Commissioner, that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Oregon and the county ordinances and laws and something to that effect. It's all of that. It's not one piece of the Constitution of the United States. It's all of that. And, you know, when you take the oath of office for whether it's a special district, a city council, county commission, you know, we actually have a little bit less rights than some of you have. And in that, our freedom of speech is somewhat limited to some degree because we also have board rules, boardsmanship, behavior, number of things that we abide by to keep our relationships sound as best as possible, to keep a good decorum up here, to be respectful, and treat each other with respect so we can work together. every day for the best interest of everyone. I truly appreciate, frankly, everyone, whether you're the people that called in or call in daily. And I hear both sides. And I respect the right for everyone to be able to speak to both sides. And, you know, as a parent, I too hold, and I think most of us do, hold more valuable than anything the welfare and the health of our children. And while a number of the things that we heard on Thursday were focused about rights, what I was somewhat saddened by was not really a lot of focus on the problem that we have that is really pulling our country apart, this world apart, and that's COVID. The enemy, I will state again, I've stated this last year, I've stated it a couple times this year, the enemy is COVID. And when this country, as a patriot, has had an enemy, and it's not been a virus, we have all pulled together, we have all sacrificed for the betterment of our community, for the betterment of our country. And the part that I struggle with is that all the sacrifices my family has made, who serve in the armed forces, friends of mine that serve as law enforcement, firefighters that put their lives on the line for the welfare of others, is a duty that it's part of who we are. If our neighbor's house is burning down, you know what? We're going to go help them. And I'm concerned, frankly, for our children, that the longer this virus continues, the longer that our economy is suffering, the longer our children don't have a great opportunity to have a healthy environment in school, the longer, and those impacts would be deeper and longer. And I'm concerned about the long term for our children and for ourselves. So I would really like to hear more about how we're going to work together. I'd like to hear more about solutions, not complaints, but solutions, and how we're going to get behind this. I understand that people do have medical circumstances in which their doctor probably advises them not to get a vaccine or not to wear a mask or to use some alternative. I understand that. And they're going to have to, really, the doctor's probably going to advise them to take extra precautions. And one could say, well, those precautions may be, might restrict their freedoms. Well, it's really about their health. It's about the health of others. So I would just really ask all these people, these divergent opinions, which they all have a right, and I'm not going to criticize anyone for their opinions, but we need to really work together to beat this. This world is at risk. This is not in the United States. This is around the world. You know, it was sad to watch the Olympics and in those indoor settings to see the crowds. No, there was no crowds in there. It was empty because of those restrictions. This is not a hoax. This is real. I have family in the medical industry, not just in Oregon, but along the West Coast. The problems we have, this is not a hoax. I don't believe it's a hoax. I encourage people, frankly, to abide as best as possible to state law. We are bound by that. And as I stated in the oath we took, and I just want to say I support the requirement to wear a mask. I support people's freedom to whether or not to get a vaccine, but I will encourage people to get a vaccine and not go contrary to their medical advice of their doctor if it is contrary to that. So let's please work together. Let's please put aside for a moment and think about the greater good. Put our self-interest aside and think about the greater good. That's our job up here. That's the oath we took, and that's what I plan to continue to do. And I'm going to continue. It's difficult, again, to abide by the rules when we work together to be respectful. And that means that I don't really have the freedoms really to say or do what I would like to do because I'm going to be respectful. But I'm perfectly comfortable abiding by those. And I'm perfectly comfortable with the sacrifices I take in the office of being a public servant. Looking here at my notes, everything I really just want to say. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say too is that we're also, not only are we the Board of County Commissioners, but we're also the Board of Health. And I went back and I read the requirements, the duties, and the responsibilities of the Board of Health. And perhaps that ought to be posted in these times. It's substantial. There's a substantial responsibility we have up here. I was not happy with the fact that we put people at risk here inadvertently. I don't think, and no one deliberately put people at risk here Thursday evening. I'm not going to make that anywhere near that kind of an accusation. It's not an accusation, but people were at risk. This building was overcrowded. I've been in this room when there was a medical emergency. I still remember the lady who had a medical emergency here. Had that same situation happened Thursday night, there was no way the paramedics or emergency personnel could have got in here and out of here in safe fashion. I've had people that almost died because they didn't get to the hospital in time, and I've had friends of mine that did die because they didn't get to the hospital in time. So the welfare, the safety of everyone in this building, whether you're staff, whether it's the public, whether it's ourselves, we have a responsibility for the health and welfare and the safety of everyone in this building, and frankly, everyone in this county. That's our responsibility. It's huge. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Scholl, you're up.
Yes, good morning, Clackamas County. Yesterday, I had the privilege of attending the Clackamas County Fair and Rodeo, and did I ever have a good time. People say that might be the best county fair in America, and I believe it might be true. And I saw that young man, Caleb, over there yesterday in his cowboy hat, and boy, did he look good. In the last couple of weeks, I've had the privilege of attending the Cottrell Bull Run CPO meeting, Stafford Hamlet meeting, Government Camp CPO meeting. These CPOs are doing outstanding work. If you live in unincorporated Clackamas County and you're not involved in your CPO, get involved because you will not regret it. We talk about the importance of transparency in government and free speech. Well, last Thursday evening, we saw both in action. The governor's mandate brought people to their feet. Thursday's meeting of hundreds of concerned citizens were families with children, working people, pregnant women, war veterans, young and old, rich and poor, who came to express their opinions on mandates regarding their health. They were intent on having their personal freedoms respected. They were adamant, yet they were peaceful. Some cities have rioters. Clackamas County has concerned citizens carrying out their civic duties and declaring their constitutional and God-given rights as free people. Yes, the building was a bit overwhelmed with numbers, but that was overshadowed, in my opinion, by the importance of the people being heard. We commissioners and the staff don't own this county building or the desks or the chairs. The people are owners of it all. We are their guests here. Some of us elected, some hired. If the people want to come, they don't need an invitation or approval from us. This is not a virtual Zoom life. This is a real blood, sweat, and tears life. These are the real people with real problems, real concerns, and real opinions. And our staff and commissioners are bound to listen and accommodate, and they do. I encourage every resident of this county to become involved. Pick an issue of concern. Send the board an email with problem, observations, and recommendations for action. Then come in on a Thursday meeting and testify for 3 minutes. That is how you start to move mountains. Your opinion not only matters, it is imperative that it is heard. With liberty comes the requirement of personal responsibility. Protect your loved ones, be safe, be well, and be free. On COVID, I would like everybody to pause for a moment and think about preventative medicine. Think about farmers, good diet, exercise, a healthy lifestyle. We have heard a lot over the last few months about constitutional rights. I spoke yesterday with Chair Smith about a resolution supporting the protection of constitutional rights during emergencies, and I would like to give that to the clerk to share with the other commissioners so they might read it over the next couple of weeks, and maybe we can discuss it when we come back from recess. I know that the last 18 months for anyone involved with health services in hospitals, clinics, and to include our public health services here in the county, have worked really hard. And I've talked to people from Providence yesterday who said that their biggest problem is the shortage of people to work in the hospitals and the clinics. If you're a young person out there who is looking for a road ahead in your life and you haven't found your calling yet, I would ask you to take a minute, give some thought about becoming a nurse, a doctor, a technician. And if you make the decision, I can tell you, you're going to have a great career because you will be in demand for every day of your life. So again, thank you for all the people who have worked so hard and are so tired now fighting this COVID thing. And I'd also, like I said, I don't always agree with people who call in, but I know people who do call in that may not agree with my way of thinking all the time. They're passionate about what they believe, and for everybody who testified here today or called in, I appreciate you taking time. I appreciate your comments. God bless America.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Scholl. Commissioner Scholl, thank you very much. You know, there's been a lot of information floating around. I just want to state, as your chair of Clackamas County, your elected chair, that people put me in this position. It's very difficult, and I would never guessed that we'd be required to do all of the actions that we're required to do. For me, it's 24/7. I don't take off on Friday or Saturday or Sunday necessarily and go have fun, maybe like some of you folks do. And when it comes to public health, Commissioner Savas mentioned we are the Public Health Board, yes, and I have supported every single initiative that our Public Health Director has put forth. I have even come up with outside-the-box ways for people to get vaccinated for those who choose to be vaccinated, because I feel that is, in all accounts, our public health directors and our doctors say do that, but I do support people's choice. I do support people who cannot get the vaccination for medical reasons. I do not think mandates are the way to go because mandates do not support peace. They do not support a healthy society. People have to want to be healthy. I will say this, COVID does not like sick people. COVID does not like overweight people. COVID does not like people who have diabetes or heart disease or people who don't exercise or take care of them. So I implore every single person to take care of their personal health. Regarding the business meeting last Thursday, it's somehow perceived out there that I was responsible for that huge crowd. I wish I had that much power. Honestly, can you imagine what would happen if I would have invited people to come? I can assure you I did not. But that was a good lesson for us. And we all learn through what can be perceived as not doing so well. We don't learn from our successes. You know, we learn from the opportunities presented to us where maybe we don't perform so well. We will do better to manage a crowd. This room has a capacity of 143 by the fire marshal. You count how many staff are in here, you subtract that. That is how many people will be allowed in this room at one time, 133. That will be maintained. But I also support the people to voice their own opinion. And I will do everything in my ability to make sure everybody gets to state their opinion before this board. You have listened to a lot of criticism of me ever since I came on January 7th, the criticisms on me have been lobbied, and they have been nasty. They have continued with those. Likewise, we will hear any other side of any other opinion to any of our commissioners. We all have been vilified. We all have been praised. That's part of the First Amendment process, that people have a right to engage in their government in public opinion. In public opinion. And I will maintain that your manners and decorum will go much further than insults and attacks. This board is going to take a much-needed break for 2 weeks. I'm going to recommend to my commissioners that we all go home, take a vacation, go sit next to some water, drink your favorite adult beverage, and process what we have been through for the past several months. And I'm going to recommend that we all come back with renewed vigor, respect for our citizens who put us here, respect for our staff, and most importantly, respect for each other and how we manage through 5 differing opinions that are all very strong. And with that in mind, this meeting is adjourned.